Hi,
Hey guys,
welcome back to Wild Speculations. I'm Daniel.
I'm Scott.
This week we talk about the Ruby and the Sapphire.
Yes,
Um,
episode 33.
Episode 33. So I will have to edit the YouTube title for last episode to take that out.
They are no longer numbering.
Yeah. I don't know. We're keeping this episode 33 for our count, I think, as well.
Yeah.
Just so that we don't end up out of sync again.
Yeah, definitely. And a lot of stuff in this episode. A lot of
Yeah.
story-heavy stuff. A lot of reaching back to previous episodes.
Yeah, and like I said, you noticed something like totally out of the blue. I don't think probably almost nobody noticed it, and the reason you noticed it is because we were talking about the Kraken.
Right, and I was researching the Kraken, so I was going back and watching the Water Ashari episodes recently.
Yeah.
So it was fresh in my mind.
Yeah.
But there's near the end of we'll get to it near the end because it's near the end of the episode, and we'll explain more then.
Yeah.
Starting out, the group goes to the beach.
Yeah, and that whole sequence. When I was watching it live, I was kind of like, "Oh, this is kind of funny and cute," and it's still going on. Why are they still here? But then I started thinking about it, and the first time you see the ocean,
Yeah.
it's a big deal.
Yeah, it is.
And them lingering on it and watching Matt narrate the different things for the different people.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
Yeah. No, it was neat. And you saw a lot of things that you see people do when they're new to the ocean, to the beach. You know, you saw Bo being the person who just like crops down, hunkers down on a rock and just is amazed and awe-inspired by the blue and just meditates on it. You got the guy who strips down and floats. I don't recommend you doing that unless it is a beach that allows that, people. But it takes all types.
It's true.
You had Caduceus with his just being in awe of everything that he sees.
Yeah, and Matt narrating the sand disappearing beneath his feet.
Yeah, that was so good.
Like the one surreal thing that every time I go to the beach, I'm reminded of from the first time I went, is that feeling of not only the water going away, but the earth pulling out from underneath you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then there was not.
That I think that trying to get Not into the water was my favorite part of that whole thing. And the whole episode, Sam's just like doing everything he can. Like even when he offers to go with Jester late night swim, she's like, "Well, it's kind of dangerous." He's like, "That's what I thought. We shouldn't go."
Right. And we'll get to that when we get to that part. Yeah. But there was something I found interesting in that as far as character development in that scene. So yeah, they're there and they do some training with the animals, which we were wrong. We both thought the weasel would probably die in this episode.
It got a reprieve because of the seagulls.
We did say an episode to an episode and a half, so technically we still have until the break on Thursday to be right. But
yeah,
she has named it, so
yes. Was the crab foreshadowing at all, do you think? Or do you think that's just something that Matt...
No, I think it was just
a
beach thing,
Okay.
I think it was just a beach thing. And I know what you're saying by the foreshadowing, and yesterday when at the game, I told you what I you know.
Yeah.
But, so yeah, they do that, and then Jester does the sending thing to see when Mom is singing.
Yep.
And
turns out she's singing at night.
Perfectly coincides by, you know, coincidence.
Yeah, sure.
So they go, and the interesting thing is they go to the gate that's the quickest. But Matt also mentioned that after they bribe the guards and let them go in quickly, says as they're going in quickly because they don't let people in this way this late usually.
Yeah.
You would think Jester might have known that beforehand and had that information, but
now,
I mean, I know she did stay pretty much in her room the whole time.
Yeah,
but
Jester's from here. She has a knowledge of the culture of the city, but I don't think she has a knowledge of the legal system or right. Who's who. Otherwise, she wouldn't have gotten in so much trouble. So,
I mean, I can.
But I think that was also Matt sort of putting in a gold sink.
Yeah,
and also illustrating to them that time is of the essence here.
Well, and it was also overly effective as far as the gold sink because it was like, oh, I saw Jester give 5 gold, so I'll just give 5 gold because that's customary here.
Yeah.
They get in and they go, and I was so happy at the beginning of the episode when she's like, I need to disguise myself because we talked about that last week, and I said, if she doesn't specifically state it.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, thank you.
Yeah, and I was kind of surprised, and it was almost right off the bat, as soon as they were within sight of the walls, basically.
Yeah.
She's like, shoom. Matt hasn't been too much of a stickler for the timing of the re-upping of the disguise. But I think he's giving her the benefit of the doubt that, especially with Caleb around, who knows exact time.
Right.
That she can say, how long has it been? And then she's also a trickster cleric, and she made it in and out of the Temple of Bahamut.
Yeah.
I mean, she can dive into the back of the cart to re-up.
Yeah, and I mean, as far as roleplay things, I mean, unless there's no way around it, like in just the traveling between places, I too would be like, okay, you're going to need this many hours, so you're going to have to expend this many spell slots, but we're not going to have to roleplay out you finding a place to hide and change and do it so no one sees you. Now, if it's time compressing or, I don't know, you have griffins chasing you, then you've got to kind of be more specific about when you're using it.
Yeah. Yeah. Before we go on a tangent on our game nights. One of the things that was interesting to me in how Matt was basically giving us the culture of Nicodranus was the actual guards.
Yeah.
How every guard basically had something on their person that individualized them.
Right.
Rather than, the Empire is very regimented and everybody looks the same.
Right.
They're faceless.
Yeah.
And it was also an interesting piece of narration that may or may not come back.
Okay.
That Matt specifically said that every guard at that gate was looking over every one of them.
Yeah. And
basically committing them to memory and seeing what they had on them and everything else. So these guards are bribable, but if you do something and they hear your description, you're going to have very motivated guards coming after you.
Yeah.
So we'll see if that comes back or not.
Yeah, we'll see.
One of the things that I found interesting from a mapping perspective and designing a city is the archways that they have that define the original borders of the city.
Yeah.
That's an interesting and different way that happens. Generally, in a city as it expands, the wall is the boundary.
Right.
Whether it crumbles or not, or basically people just build up against it and just the inner wall of the city becomes just the back wall of houses.
Right.
It's usually a wall and then the gatehouses around that form that boundary. So I'm wondering if there is a mystical reason for that.
Yeah, it could be. And that could have something to do with whatever's beneath the city.
Yes. And interestingly, I don't know if Matt knows this or how many people do, but the London waterfront is something like between like 150 and 300 feet away from where it was when the Romans founded the city.
Oh, really? I did not know that.
And most of it's fill.
Okay. And
the same with Manhattan. Manhattan has grown like acres.
Yeah.
Because of the fill that they've put in.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if the wharfs are the expansion toward the sea is reflective of that. If he's built that into the background of the city.
Yeah. Possibly.
We'll see.
Whether he knew that about London or not.
Yeah.
I think that's something. That's the kind of detail he would work into something.
Yeah.
So. They get there and they go to the, what was it called? The Chateau Lavore? Was that the name?
Yeah. Well, that's what they were calling it, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, the House of Lavore, her mom. Lavore, yeah. Anyway, they go there and they're waiting there, doing the thing. Jester runs up and sees her mom.
And we speculated as to whether or not it was going to be that they were going to stay there or not.
Right.
And she didn't mention it when she saw her the first time. I was like, oh, maybe they won't.
Yeah.
Now, I speculated that Matt might play her a little like Inara.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think I was necessarily wrong.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't overt, but I can definitely see correlations. I marked it in the right column for you when I was watching.
Okay, because when I was watching, I was like...
Well, you said Inara, but then you clarified a companion in general, which she definitely was a companion.
For sure.
So that's why I marked it in the correct column.
But I was like... I started thinking about it, I was like, well, if Inara... Like, if we ran into Inara 20 years later, and her and Mal had a kid, how would Inara be behaving?
Yeah.
It was sort of where my mind went.
Okay.
And when I was critiquing my analysis.
Gotcha.
During the episode. Matt did his... is it fair to call it trademark when he brings in, like, actual sound that he's narrating? Because he's... So as far as that goes, he had to have rehearsed that a bunch. Yeah. Because
that music playing in the background matched as his descriptions were going and changing and what he was focusing on. That wasn't one where this fits. That was one where I'm using this piece. I'm going to rehearse my narrative to fit within this piece.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, for sure.
But interesting thing in there, and I know, you can do the thaumaturgy with the lights and stuff as Jester, However, the way he was describing how everybody was just enamored by her and stuff, I was wondering if she may or may not be a glamour bard with that glamour ability to entrance a handful of people. Or at least some kind of one of the spells that does that. Because it really sounded like everyone was almost under a spell and charmed.
I won't say no, but people who perform on stage can elicit those reactions without magic.
That's true.
And I think the demonstration that we see with Ford in the room, sort of, she had him charmed too, without casting a spell. And if she could, I don't think she would have a problem with the suitor that she has.
That's true.
Which I thought was an interesting quest, I guess.
Yeah. It's a reason to stay in town to uncover the extra plot hooks that Matt has in the city.
True. Trying to think. Well, we've talked about with Matt too doing it. Having several different vectors.
Yeah.
To pull people toward his main plot.
Right.
So whatever set of encounters that he has, or showcase encounters, I guess is the better way to put it.
Yeah. In
Nicodranas, he's got all these different ways to pull the characters there. Yeah. So they introduce this guy who's giving Jester's mom a hard time, but I think either that wizard...
He's also the first mention we have of the secret beneath the city.
Yeah.
So...
Yeah.
He's a way to uncover that.
Yeah. Which we got from the mother?
The lady in the White House. Yeah. And there was one other place we got it, something about it from. Someone.
Well,
was it the Wharf Master?
Yeah, but he didn't mention the thing under the sea, just the gate.
The sluice weave.
Yeah.
So we had three different things coming into one point.
Yeah. We also have set up a power struggle happening where the Empire is going to be involved because the Empire has their fingers in the politics in the Menagerie Coast.
Yeah, well, and they have for a long time, evidently, because this outpost is a normal thing because it's the closest menagerie city to the Empire, Matt. Because at first when he specified that, I went back to the guy that's the deserter hanging out down there, and then he mentioned it's a normal thing because it's the closest city.
Yeah, and I think we're going to see... Okay. We will probably see that plot thread come in.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's going to be the gold to pay for this trip, as it were. The gold reward for this journey. Narratively, anyway. I don't think Matt is the kind of DM that cares much about that.
Yeah.
Because he needs to give the players gold, but he seems to give it in fits and starts and in large batches, rather than they're looting the corpses of everybody all the time, finding a dozen of coins at a time.
Yeah.
And rather than giving treasure hoards out, he seems to do it as rewards put up by the state for performing stuff.
Exactly.
A job. I don't know. Jester's mom seems to be protected largely by her connections and influence.
Yeah.
From this guy's machinations. It has the potential of blowing up in their face.
Yeah.
And I don't know. Not in Caleb in this episode have started to... Well, started might be too strong of a word. It's more like they now are almost feeding into each other's most negative aspects. where Caleb is basically, yeah, let's murder somebody. Let's murder this fool.
Yeah.
And I think that gets back to what you were saying about Caleb. As he recovers, as he gets closer and closer to his goal, we might see that shifting.
Right, and we're also seeing that in how aggressively focused he is.
Yeah,
even
which we kind of called.
Which we called, but in that leadership role and hey, on task. This is what you're supposed to be doing. Why are you?
Yep.
Side quests are later. We go back to that after we finish this.
Yep, and not, like I said, Not's going to be the one.
Thank you for getting us back on track.
Yep, and shielding him. And she also was the diffuser of the tension that started.
Yeah.
Between Bo and Caleb. Because that started to get a little heated.
Yeah, and, I think it's because he's got that going, but then she's like having that flashback to the people I ran from were the controlling type like this.
Yeah. So I think that's going to continue to be a flashpoint going forward.
Yeah.
Between the two of
them. They had been getting better. They'd gotten pretty close, especially when, the others were captured. But then now that they're back and these roles are being addressed, it's kind of flaring back up.
Yeah. Well, and I think... I don't know if it's conscious or unconscious on Marisha's part, but there has to be some part of her that recognizes, especially when Sam, as not, does that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Backs up Caleb, and everyone else basically just shuts up and goes along. I think that just...
Yeah. And I think
her hackles get up.
I want to say it's conscious. I want to say it's conscious for Marisha, not for Bo.
Okay, I buy that.
Marisha is conscious that her character would instinctively react this way to this kind of situation. Yeah. And so she's consciously playing that, emphasizing that.
Yeah, sure.
And being that your character is a piece of you.
Yeah.
I mean...
Yeah. You saw Caleb dapper up.
Yep.
For the show.
And Caduceus as well.
Yeah. Now, did you think the one song performance was a little?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, typical song, even a long song is only like 6-7 minutes.
Yeah. And I think that piece was probably, I'm going off of memory.
Right.
6.5?
About that,
almost 7 minutes. But yeah, I was just kind of like, she doesn't do it every night.
When you're just showcasing yourself to entice some people. I mean, I'm assuming she doesn't do it every night. The money comes from other things. That just brings the other things. Means she does that when she doesn't have anybody lined up already for that night, so she can get money. But she's probably booked in advance, so most nights she doesn't need to do that.
That's true.
Which then again feeds back into that, is she doing some kind of enamoration spell when she does that song?
You're right. But like, so doing a panel at a convention for artists, authors, and what have you, is one of the best ways to drive sales at your table,
right?
At your booth. But a panel's an hour long, usually.
Right.
I don't know. For me, I was just like, wow, one song and that's it, and up to the thing. It's like she took longer to get in and probably out of the dress.
Yeah.
Than she was on stage.
Yeah.
Although maybe you're right, and Matt had rehearsed that, and that whole thing was supposed to be longer
series of songs, but this is just the narrative. He didn't actually go through each song.
Right. And I could buy that. But just to me, that part was a little jarring for me.
Yeah.
And then,
of course, she has them all come up to meet them. She refuses any suitors, which made our friend happy.
Yes. One of the things that I've noticed with a lot of the player PC parents when we meet them in the campaigns, always seem to take these stories of their children's brushes with death really well. Lavore was Jester's mother. The Ruby was pretty nonplussed as Jester is starts telling her, and Laura says, "I tell her everything."
Yeah.
And I'm wondering if everything includes, I was kidnapped, tortured. I was going to be sold into slavery, and these guys got me out. Rather than sort of the brush over, they've saved me, and I saved them.
Yeah. And I don't know. I was taking it as she wasn't going into detail about those things. I know she said, "I tell her everything," but when you say you're telling your parents everything, do you really tell them everything? Exactly,
yeah. That's also true.
Especially when you're the devotee of a trickster god.
Yeah. So that was just I guess the flip side of that is they're all adventurers.
That's true.
So sort of the parents know that this is in their personality to be this way. So I guess it can cut both ways. But it's just the acceptance and nonplussness of every parent that we've ever met.
And then the mom, did you know? So, okay, and this goes back, this is another, just reach back just a moment, not real in-depth or meaning something, but the Ruby was initially intrigued by Ford.
Yeah.
And the look on Laura's face was a throwback to when Laura was like, "He's been with the Ruby." Oh, wait.
Yeah.
That threw me back to then.
Well, and I love the way Travis played it, too, when her finger just kind of lingers, and he's like, "Ooh."
Yeah, and that's when we got the look from Laura. And then we had Bo being Bo.
Yeah.
And I do the finger thing, too.
Yeah.
And then she gets really intrigued when she finds out Caduceus has no knowledge of this kind of stuff. But the thing that caught me there was, stick with my daughter. She'll teach you everything.
Same. Same.
Jester's not as innocent, which we've said from day one.
Yeah.
And I've made a big point of that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's definitely going to come back. But she does give him
as soon as Mom said that, Bo was like, "I want to know what that means."
Yeah.
And then they did get lodging, which I said, if they talk to her, if they go straight there and they talk to her about it, they're going to have it there.
Yeah.
So I was right.
Yep.
In that.
Totally.
Because we had talked about, are they going to try and stay there where she might get spotted?
Yeah. And we have her mother's word that the workers there, or her people at least, can be trusted not to reveal Jester's existence to.
Which I'm assuming, most of them already knew Jester and probably helped keep her in line and keep her hidden from the patron, so to speak.
Yeah.
So they probably have a closer relationship than with Jester as well.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
So,
we got the exploration of the city. Ford goes to the wharf master with Bo. I don't know if that was the best way to do it, But it was a way.
Well, let's rewind before we get to...
Okay.
We missed a big, huge talking point in
I just
discussion.
Noticed how much time we've...
Yeah, but this is the bulk of the talking point.
That's true.
The big reveal that the gentleman probably is Jester's dad. And the reason I say that, I mean, besides the whole conversation, is Matt at one point says that's a later game reveal that the right questions brought up early.
Yes.
He mentions that. The argument that I saw, and I saw this argument online, Babanan, the name. Baba is Farsi for father, Nan the negatory. His name is literally not the father. That's a reach, but it's there.
Yeah. I think he is the father.
I think he is as well.
And that late game reveal was going to be at the solstice.
Yeah.
The travel.
Yeah, we had talked about that, and I agree too.
And
the other thing, which I told you while we were eating dinner earlier, proves Molly right. Back in episode 1, Jester's like, am I going to find my dad? Pulls a card. Taliesin, whether it be his Carney background BS ability, his gaming experience with Matt, combination of it, whatever, says you already have the clue you need, you just don't know what it is yet. Bo's mail fraud is what led them to the gentleman, and Bo making a joke in front of the Ruby is what led them to this conversation that the gentleman probably is, I'm saying definitely is, the dad. So, after all this time, Molly's fortune came true.
Yeah. So, we still feel him even now.
His story's not done.
Yep. Yeah, that was totally a Empire Strikes Back moment reaction for all of the cast.
The best reaction was Caduceus. Oh, your dad's a gentleman. That's neat. Not even putting 2 and 2 together.
Yeah.
And Sam's, well, you do always perspire right there.
Yeah, and I think that was a dig at Laura.
Yeah.
But yeah. So we'll see where that goes now.
Yeah. And
at the solstice.
I agree with Ford that I wish she hadn't sent the sending. It would have been nice to have watched his face.
Yeah.
But especially with the pause and stuff.
Well, and at least they also were like, do not send a message every day.
Yeah, because that's what she was going to do.
Yeah.
I'll just send to him every day. And no. Give him a few days.
Yeah.
That was fun. So, yeah. Big reveal. Neither of us call it. Neither of us saw it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then they go and off and explore. We get the interaction with the mother, the Temple of the Wilde Mother.
Yes.
We get some exposition. Interesting NPC. And also interesting to see, like, that was one of those things that in real history, that churches did.
Yeah.
Churches, monasteries, nunneries, they actually did perform vital services for the community.
Yeah.
That later fell to the government.
Yeah.
To do, or has fallen to the government to do.
And I think we saw just in that, brief conversation that Caduceus' personal goals are more closely tied to the overarching story than they thought.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And that it is the Wild Mother that has sent him on this journey to cleanse the earth.
To cleanse the earth. And fitting back into that poison land theory of ours, fitting back into, just that whole tangled web that we have.
Yeah. Now, her laugh.
Okay.
At his second question. Is there a place I can connect to the mother? Do you think that was because she doesn't believe there's any place outside of the tower to connect with her? Or that he's asking that in her temple?
I think it's that, Caduceus is new to the outside. I mean, he's pretty much established that he's only been in the cemetery.
Yeah.
And now he's in another place. He's asking about this. She's the Wild Mother. You can connect to her anywhere in nature.
Yeah. And
he's still in the mind that I've got to be in a holy. No. She's the Wild Mother.
I can see that.
That's kind of how I read that.
We got the tower.
Yep.
And them walking around it, which had a very Game of Thrones, Daenerys and the Warlocks of Karth feel. Okay. Where they're walking around a circular tower and there's no entrance. And they walk around and boom. Now I asked you, do you think it's illusioned to appear taller or illusioned to appear smaller?
And I think it's illusioned to appear taller.
As do I.
And the further away, the less the enchantment has effect on you, and so you see it for what it really is.
Exactly. That's my feeling as well. In fact, I think...
And 150-foot tower's still pretty good.
Oh, yeah.
Especially for that kind of time period.
Yeah. I think one of those balconies that are like the lowest one that's like 25 feet over, I think that's actually a door.
Yeah.
But we'll see if I'm right or wrong.
Okay.
I'm sure. Because even though Kayla basically
threw some shade,
on the idea of investigating it, I think they will end up back there.
Oh, they will.
And I think that wizard is going to be a key player in whatever political game they're going to be involved in.
He owns that section of the city.
Yeah. The
whole section of the city.
Yeah. So this is going to be another case where probably the Council of Taldore might be the closest from Campaign 1.
Okay.
Where they were intimately involved in the sort of maintenance and flow of that council. And instituted helping get their allies in positions of power.
Right.
And I think that's going to be the first thing here. They happened into that bar because... So, one of the things that I thought of in watching this episode is a lot of anger, annoyance, dismissal, embitterment, whatever negative connotation you want to give it, trope of starting in a tavern. Mighty Nine, Talks Machnia, this playgroup are the perfect reason why all adventures start a tavern. Because, well, we've hit a dead end. What should we do? Let's go get a drink.
Yep.
So let's look for a bar. The bar we're looking for is nearby. Okay.
Why do you find your new party member in a bar? Your friend just died. What do? You go have a drink and celebrate.
Yep.
Yeah.
Now, like we mentioned at the beginning, you noticed that big thing at the outset.
The very last person he just one of the two last. The last table he described. So he's going through, he's describing a few different patrons,
Number 3 and 4 of the 5 people that were in the bar.
Yeah. He's got 2, and then number 3 is the Turtle.
Yeah.
The NPC fireside chat generated.
And I was losing my mind. Like, oh, this is it. This is where they find him. We mentioned they're going to meet him on the Menagerie Coast.
Yeah.
And I was sort of distracted by that as he goes on to describe the other table.
And then he goes to this lady who's got the leather coat, a tangled mess of dark brown hair that is graying at the tips. And he goes and describes her. And because I had been watching the Water Ashari episodes, specifically episode 86 of Campaign 1, he described a lady exactly the same way. Tangled mess, except for instead of graying, it was sun-bleached at the tips.
Yeah.
She was in her late 20s.
20 years later, she'd be in her late 40s.
Which she is now. So with the exception of sun-bleached to graying and the age, which is appropriately adjusted, the description is word for word the same. This is Captain Adele, the lady whose ship they went on when Vox Machina went to visit the Water Ashari.
Yep.
I'm calling it. This is our first NPC from Campaign 1 to make an actual appearance in Campaign 2.
Yeah.
Which also ties in because that's where the Kraken is, who we believe is Ford's patron. They're going to end up going to the Water Ashari and meeting Ford's patron.
Yeah, we've been dancing around will they, won't they get to the Water Ashari.
Right. And I believe her presence here
all but guarantees.
For me, confirms that they are going to go to the Water Ashari.
Yeah. If not right away. Well,
not right away,
of course, but definitely soon.
We're going to at least get probably the majority, if not all of a level in before we go to the Water Ashari.
Oh, yeah.
But yes, we will be going to the place where Vax died. Because the Kraken killed him.
That's right. I forgot about that. And almost killed Terry.
Yeah.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
Until Scanlan magicked Krog to go save him.
Not Scanlan. Percy.
Percy did. That's right. Percy.
Yeah.
I always forget that Percy had magic. Because he just had the initiate feat.
Yeah. Yeah, because he used friends on him.
Yep.
Yeah, I think that was... So I don't know if Matt missed somebody in the description. Or if I was miscounting. Or if he misspoke.
Okay.
Because he did say 5 patrons.
Right.
In the bar.
He described 5 patrons.
The half-elf was the bartender. He described the old man, the turtle, and the 2 at the table.
No, there was the half-elf. There was the old man. Then there was the guy with the bushy eyebrows, the second guy. There was 2 guys before the turtle.
No.
No?
Just the one old guy. The bushy eyebrows, the same dude with the with the no teeth.
So there's 1, 2, 3. Huh. Yeah, because there was the turtle, the Captain Adele, the guy she was with.
Mm-hmm. But if my count is right, we're missing one. And I think that one is going to be important next episode.
Lapel? There you go.
Yeah. Or it's Ford's friend.
Oh.
Because Ford's been on the lookout for people who recognize him.
Yeah.
And Matt has narrated that some of the wharf guys see Ford and are paying attention to him.
Yeah.
Or to them.
Yeah.
So I think no one has said any or done anything.
Right.
In any recognition. But I think that guy might be there.
Okay.
Or it'll be Lepois.
Yeah.
Who do you think they talk to first?
The turtle. Did you see the way Laura's eyes lit up? There's no question.
And Travis as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were all...
But, I mean, if you go back and watch, Laura's like... She's listening, but she's just kind of like, yeah, whatever. This giant humanoid... You know, she just gets, like, huge-eyed, just jaw-dropped excitement.
Yeah.
You know.
The netting over the shell.
Like she had the biggest change in her reaction to that. Because she was almost seemed disinterested in the descriptions to overblown excitement.
That I didn't notice. And I don't... Well... I noticed in this episode that Sam and Liam seem to be non-verbally communicating a lot.
Yeah.
In every scene. And
it was definitely more pronounced in this episode, but it is something that has been ramping up over the past several episodes.
Yeah. But yeah, like this episode in particular was very, especially in that final...
And I mean, they're sitting relatively close together in the structure of the table. Yeah. They're at a corner.
Corners, yeah.
You know, they're at other sides of a corner.
Yeah. So it was interesting. But the biggest reactions were from Marisha and Travis to the turtle, and like from what I remember seeing.
Yeah.
Because like Marisha actually, the non-verbal cues that I got from her was basically, "Is this a Ninja Turtle?" kind of a thing.
Which I mean, turtles are. A turtle monk is pretty much a Ninja Turtle. I mean, very easy to make those in D&D now.
Yes. So yeah, we'll see. So you think the turtle? I think I'm inclined to agree. Probably will be the turtle that they talk to first. Do they get tattoos?
I hope so.
Do you think all of them will get tattoos?
No.
Okay. Who does and who doesn't?
Bo, yes.
Okay.
Not no.
Okay.
Jester, yes.
Okay.
She's the impulsive type.
Yeah, I can see her going along with it, yeah.
Ford possibly will take some convincing. Travis, yes. Ford would take some convincing.
See, I don't think so.
No, you think no?
No, I think Ford's going to be the first one.
Huh. Okay.
Especially when he finds out they're enchanted.
Okay, so... Yeah, I wasn't thinking the enchanted arcane tattoos. Yeah, when they're... Then that'll push Caleb to a yes. I think
you
Caleb...
think?
Yeah.
See, I'm on Caleb being a hard no.
No, especially if they're enchanted. If they're going to help him get more power.
I guess it will depend on what the enchantment is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, depending on what he can do. I mean, if he can basically tattoo a ring of spell storing where you can store a spell in a tattoo.
Yeah. See, I'm thinking water breathing, water walk, that kind of thing based upon the tattoos he was sporting.
Yeah.
And those are the most common. For sailors, those will be the most important.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Ford's got the armor. He doesn't need the tattoo.
True.
I mean, maybe the water breathing, but he's got his swim speed from the armor.
Yeah. Which actually would be a nice way for Matt to give them the magic stuff that they need to go to the Ashari.
Yeah.
And not have to get anything from the Ashari.
Yeah.
I hadn't thought about that until just now. Do you think... Okay, so if I'm wrong...
Okay.
And there isn't another patron that Matt didn't get to describing.
Right.
That is Lepoix.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think they meet him? Do you think they find him next episode?
I think they find him. I don't know that they actually meet him, encounter him.
Okay.
To where we know where he's at, we can confront him.
Do we meet Father
Pierce?
Yeah, the dwarf.
I'm trying to remember. I didn't think he was in Nicodranus proper. He was down in the Menagerie Coast, but I thought he was more closer to Port de Mali. I'd have to go back and watch the episode, but I was under the impression that Nicodranus wasn't where Father Pierce was at. I was really confused when Sam brought up Father Pierce, because I was like, he wasn't in Nicodranus.
See, I was under the impression that he was.
So, I mean, if he's there, I would say yes, they will meet him. Maybe not. Maybe next episode, if not the one after that, if he is in Nicodranus. But I had thought he wasn't. So.
Okay. So next episode we're going to have the interactions in the bar.
Yes.
We will probably have them continuing to follow up on the Ruby's suitor.
Yeah. Here's a question for you.
Al Gore?
Yes.
Yeah.
Al Gore. Now we watched a little bit of the introductions, those descriptions here just before we filmed, and I had said, "Hey, they didn't catch the description like most people did. Like I wouldn't have if I hadn't been researching the Kraken.
Yeah.
I don't have that great of remember a 2-episode character from over a year ago.
Yeah.
If they meet her in this next episode, if they actually speak with her and hear her name, how many of them recall her?
Ooh.
How many of the players are like, oh shit, that's this person?
Marisha.
Okay, I agree.
And I want to say Sam, but I
want to say either Sam or Travis. One of the two of them. Travis tends to be one of the first ones to be like, oh wait, that was someone. Who was that? And spark all the rest of them looking through their notes.
That's true. Travis does tend to be the, hey, that's
someone important. We know that person.
Yeah, that's true.
So I think either Travis or Sam, and definitely Marisha.
Okay.
And then that'll spark everyone else.
What if it doesn't?
If it doesn't trigger them?
Yeah. What if it goes the whole episode? They have their interaction. The episode comes to an end, and then Matt says, I thought you guys would have recognized an NPC from campaign 1.
I don't think he'll do that. I think if they don't speak with her, or if they speak with her and don't pick up on it, okay? Because the first thing is, do they speak to her or not?
I think they do.
Okay. Because if they don't, then there's no way they're going to put it together because they didn't recognize the description.
Yeah. But she's obviously a captain.
Right.
So they're looking for the
Ford,
captain.
And they may talk to her just because, well, that and Ford is looking for information too. And then
Did
if
they sail
don't,
with her to Port de Mali?
Possibly. And they don't figure out, then something is going to lead them back. Probably going to Port de Mali or looking for the captain will bring them back to her in the following episode. He's not gonna tip it off unless they leave Nicodranus without putting it together and working with her.
Yeah, maybe. like I say, I think Matt has different vectors all the time.
He does.
They don't always pick up on what he's putting down.
That's true. Yeah. Oh, the other thing. Back to the gentleman. How many times were you thinking of Ford's Mask of Many Faces or Not Silent Image when they're trying to see if the gentleman and this water ganassi that the Ruby remembers was the same person? Just like...
Not at all.
Almost all of you have disguised self. Not has silent image. Put his image up.
Yeah. Yeah, it would have gotten around the whole drawing thing.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure the chats were abuzz with that, but I was, my first thing was silent image. Come on.
Yeah.
Not, you have silent image. And then I was like, wait, you don't need to waste a spell slot. Ford can disguise self at will.
Yeah. Of course, that would have done a whole other number on the sexual dynamics between...
Which would have been amazing.
Yeah.
I was just like waiting for that. And waiting. And I was actually like talking to the TV. Come on, guys. You're not using your spells today anyway.
Do the thing. Yeah. So we talked about, is it a dragon turtle or the kraken?
Right. I think it's
the city.
I think it's a dragon turtle.
Okay.
You had asked me if I thought it was the kraken. I said no. We've already established where the kraken is established, and it's even been mentioned in this campaign that there's a kraken that swims in that area between Wild Mountain and Tal'Dorei by the Menagerie Coast, by the water of Shari. That's where the kraken is. It's not trapped under the city.
Yeah.
And I don't think the dragon turtle is trapped. I think there's a dragon turtle whose den is beneath the city, who they possibly people pay a tithe to its hoard.
Yeah.
For protection for their ships.
Yeah. Basically the same thing that happens in Port Nyanzaru.
Yeah.
In Tomb of Annihilation.
Yeah. That's my opinion of what's going on down there. Could be totally wrong. I have no foundational evidence for it being a dragon turtle.
Yeah.
But that's what I think.
Yeah.
I know I did see online someone thought it may be an aboleth.
That was my thought.
Which is a possibility. Although there's no more evidence for that than there is for the dragon turtle.
Right. I think this next episode we'll know.
Yeah. I think so.
Or the other.
I think so. But I think it's definitely not the kraken.
Okay. I'm trying to think. Is there anything else?
No. I mean, the big things were the gentleman and Captain Adele. Those were the two big things for me.
Yeah, and me as well. Well, the gentleman more than Captain Adele.
Right.
My thing was the turtle.
Yeah, the turtle up there.
Yeah. So.
And then, of course, the reveal that there's something beneath the city.
Yeah.
All these things. But, I mean, the big one was the gentleman.
Yeah.
100%. That's the big one. That's the one that...
I am your father.
That's the one a lot of unanswered Talks questions are going to be about, because it was supposed to be Taliesin and Laura. They announced today that Laura is sick, will not be there, and that Liam is taking her place. So it'll be Taliesin and Liam. So all those questions that were asked for Laura are not going to get answered by Laura.
Yeah. So, yeah. Talks is coming on, and we'll see you guys next week.
Bye, guys.